ToA just reset. So here's a comprehensive list of the top 10 hardest ToA floors and how to beat them. Number 10, let's just get the Guillaume floor just out of the way. The Dark Phantom Thief has a passive that imposes a chance to glance, and if you do glance on him, well, then he becomes invincible. And if that sounds annoying, try having it in triplicate. What the This floor is so notoriously tedious, in fact, that there's a PSA that goes out amongst folks who are trying to rush through ToA to let them know where this guy is. This guy ranks really high on the list though, because frankly, the floor's pretty easy to beat. It's just knowing where it is and knowing that you gotta stop your run and work your way through it. You can go with some of the classics. For instance, Chilling, or anybody who steals buffs like Martina Deva, if you're like me and have a Martina. Or I suppose you could just go with Lauren if you have the patience of a god.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. If I could kill it, I would, but I legally can't.
Although if you'd rather get ahead of it instead of stripping it once it gets applied, you want to cut it off right at the origin, you can go with buff block instead. Standard buff blockers include things like Second Awaken, Zinc. You could also bring Airguard the Dark Vampire Lord and focus on one at a time. You could go with Gina. Basically anything from the Steel Fortress guide, that'll help you apply buff block and get through Guillaume.
What did he say?
Number 9, the Cians. This is one of those rare floors that'll still halt a run in its tracks even after you've been clearing ToA normal with no problem for years. When Blution dies, he comes back with invincibility and immunity, a notably difficult pair of beneficial effects to deal with. And he has a very potent AoE bomb application on skill 2. So even in ToA normal, if you effectively wipe out the entirety of all the Cians, they'll revive, and then they have their chance to apply bombs to your entire team. Sounds difficult? Well, luckily the solution is actually pretty easy. There are 2 ways that I'm going to recommend you go about this. The first is just bringing immunity. If you have a Fran on your team or like a Veramos, odds are you're going to clear it no problem. Where the Cian floor is dangerous is if you're using a speed team to try to climb quickly. He's really good at taking out teams that have no defense. And I don't mean defense like the stat, I mean like, like a defensive strategy. Because normally, once your team's strong enough, your first instinct, take out the healing, take out the cleanse. But he makes you put it back in. The second way to deal with him is by increasing cooldown times. This actually might be a little bit more applicable for folks who are trying to speed their way through ToA. A couple common ways to do this include Zyros the Fire Dragon's 3rd skill, as well as Chungpung's 3rd skill, if you happen to be using one of those. If you'd like a free-to-play option, you can go with the Dark Homunculus' 3rd skill instead. Number 8, the Monkeys. The floor with all the Monkey Kings is difficult only if you don't focus down Jingxie. So like a lot of floors in ToA, the answer is in crowd control. You just want to be a little bit more present with how you lock things down. If you're going with the classic Tyrone approach, you can make sure that he opens with skill 3 to lock down the other monkeys, and then after that, you hard focus Xingxie. Lauren the Light Cowgirl is perfect for making sure that he doesn't move after everybody else is locked down. You know, because Xing, he just jabs at you after that, and then all of a sudden you're stunned, and you're locked down from the Light Monkey King, and that floor is pretty high up there. So it's understandable if your team falls to it. Number 7, the Hua and Wind Battle Mammoth floor. I hate this one. This is my least favorite floor in all of ToA. If it was Evan's least favorite list, this would be number 1. I think that partially comes from being so heavily reliant on Tyrone in my free-to-play comp, and he will glance on the Wind Battle Mammoths. They have a full team cleanse and attack bar boost on their 3rd skill. Now that can be catastrophic for a lot of strategies. You can conquer this floor by using element neutral or non-glancing lockdown. So Veramos the Dark Ifrit is a great example of farmable crowd control on his skill 2 that won't glance because he's dark, so he's element neutral. Or you could go with Varad, if you're mine, because his 3rd skill won't glance as long as your defense is higher than theirs. Alternatively, you can use a dot team, though it's kind of important that you use Tatu for this. Traditional dot strategies won't work up against the Wind Battle Mammoths because they specialize in cleansing the entire team. Tatu is a workaround for that because she can detonate the dots that you apply. Number 6, another classic. It's the Double Achroma floor. This notoriously difficult floor puts you up against 2 Achromas. There's a Zyros in the middle, but we take him, he's not really a factor for very long. Achroma automatically resists everything. you can't apply anything to Acroma. So that means no defense break, that means no crowd control, nothing that we've been leaning on to get us through ToA up until this point. So we gotta find a workaround for that. The most common way to deal with this is via Garo, the Fire Ninja. If you can rune up a fast Garo on Vampire, he can solo both Acromas, thanks to his passive that says when he would die on his turn, he instead gains 50% attack bar. So if he's fast enough, he can lap the Acromas to get his passive back online before they have an opportunity to take him out. Now, there are a few other ways to take down Acroma as well though. Notably, you could use a very tanky dark monster. Veramos, Joltan, Basalt, and Camuls come to mind as ways to get around Acroma. If you have more time on your hands, you could also go for drain effects. You could use Bulwark's third skill, but if you have Garo, he is the most simple and effective way to take down Acroma. Number 5, it's the Leo Ragdoll floor. This is just a Leo sandwich. It's 4 Ragdolls and a Leo, all in a row. Ragdoll's passive says every time they get crit, the whole team gets attack bar. And when there's 4 of them, that's a lot of triggers. A dot strategy is great here. You can use Sath, Thrain, throw in a Nora or a Rika if you have them, and you got yourself a really easy dot plan. All of a sudden, those turns they're getting are starting to look like they're detonating their own dots. Number 4, it's the Halfus boss. A lot of us are probably more familiar with seeing Halfus the Light Lich in arena defense comps. Here in ToA, he's bigger, he's badder, but he's got the same passive. Once his HP falls below half, he'll apply invincibility to himself, and then he's going to start draining the HP from your entire team. The ways we deal with this are going to be largely similar to how we handled Guillaume. It was almost foreshadowing. There is a world where you can get lucky enough to strip it with Lauren and apply a heal block so that way he can't gain the HP back. Because his passive will only trigger if he's able to get back above 50% to regain the invincibility when he drops below it again. And heal block will stop that. The other way to deal with it is, yet again, via buff block. You can keep him from getting the invincibility in the first place. He is surrounded by 2 Dark Epicion Priests. I would say that you can largely ignore them or keep them stunned, whatever's more convenient to you. Anyway, that's Halfus. Let's move on. Number 3, the Veramos boss. This is the same Dark Ifrit from our Fusion Hexagram now betraying us and joining forces with 2 Pernas and 2 Huadams. The difficulty here comes from a combination of Huadam's passive mixed with Pernas. Huadam says that whenever someone would take lethal damage, they instead siphon HP from Huadam and keep on living. And the Pernas heal every turn. They also have in their passive a full revive where they'll come back with 100% HP. So you're starting to see the synergy here. Everybody heals in some capacity. A lot of people like to use a hybrid dot strategy for dealing with the Veramos boss, meaning you don't go as all in as you did before because bosses are immune to dots. Now, the only caveat here is that you have to keep the Veramos down. If his attack bar ever gets all the way up, he's just going to remove the dots that you're putting on people. So with that in mind, we're going to bring some attack bar reduction. You can bring a Veramos and a Lauren for that attack bar reduction, and if you have some nat 5s that can apply dots like Rika and Nora, you can bring them too. Now, you could do an amalgam of this and bring Spectra for more attack bar reduction, and then bring 2A Sath to add some more dots to the plan. Now, with that said, I do personally prefer a team that can instead weather the storm and win through good targeting instead. So you can bring the classic Tyrone, Spectra, Lauren, Veramos, Fran, and you'll find that you should be able to clear it pretty effectively. You can swap out the Spectra for either a Rauk or a Vertihile too if you're so inclined. For more details on that team, check out the ToA teams video we have on the channel. Now, in terms of targeting, focusing down either the Pernas or a Huadam is the way to go. Just remember to keep Veramos' attack bar low, which shouldn't be a problem considering you have a full attack bar reset on Tyrone and incremental ones between Lauren, Spectra, and Veramos. Number 2, Athtaros and Lyrith. These are the actual ToA bosses at the end of each tower. Athtaros is actually pretty simple as long as you bring enough sustain these days. A well-runed Tyrone, Spectra, Fran, Lauren, and Verd comp will be able to clear it without even having to focus on the towers at all. You can just focus the boss, and even if the crystal boosts, Lauren's going to be there to reduce his attack bar down. You can use largely the same team for Lyrith, but she's a little bit more complicated. She summons incarnations of herself with different abilities, and after 5 turns, she'll reabsorb them, and if she does that, then it's pretty much over. All of her stats get boosted, and it's just going to be a difficult climb after that. However, if you can defeat the incarnations before she does that, she'll instead get stunned. So what we're going to do instead is do a balancing act of keeping her attack bar in control while we whittle away at the incarnations. We'll use largely the same structure here. Tyron, Fran, Lauren, Veramos, and then either Verd or Spectra as the last team member. Apply defense break to one incarnation, manage the attack bar of Lirith whenever she's about to take a turn, and you'll find that you're able to clear this with relative ease. Quick honorable mentions. The floor with all the Dark Infernos frequently stops me on my climb. It's pretty simple. His passive triggers on death, and he'll do a massive amount of damage to whoever dealt that killing blow. You can get around this one using dot strategies or increasing his cooldown time. The last honorable mention is the floor with Antares on the way up to the boss. Not the one with the boss that is Antares, the one that has 3 Antareses on the way up. Every so often I'll look down at my phone and I will be at the boss floor and I'll be down to like 2 monsters. I'm like, how the heck did that happen? The answer is that Antares took him out on the way up to the boss. That one I didn't include on the main list because once you know what's happening, all you gotta do is focus down Antares and you're good to go. But man, if it doesn't catch me by surprise every time. Number 1, the hardest floor in all of ToA, it's Artemiel. This guy is legendary. It's Artemiel in the center surrounded by a bunch of dudes who also counterattack you. So there's 2 paths that you can take to this. One is a slight augmentation on the usual strategy that focuses more on big damage, so you can take out Artemiel ASAP. The other is a bigger prioritization on lockdown. Bring more units that stun, so that way the units around Artemiel can't clap back at you. Alternatively, you can go for more crowd control. Put in something like the Water Homunculus or Rika, if you have it, to take down the surrounding units with dots, and then you can focus down the Artemiel with your Lauren to make sure he never gets another turn. Just watch out because those counterattacks are powerful, so you'll want to make sure to bring some healing and some other way to do damage. And there you go, those are the top 10 hardest floors in ToA and how to beat them. Did I miss a floor that you find to be really tough? Let me know in a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.